This week's show brought to you by SCAD, Scott Countyans Against Drugs. Welcome everybody to the Scott County Cardinals News Graphic Football Coaches Show Week 5. That means after this week, we will be at the halfway point of the regular season. And not only that, after this week, we will be into the district schedule. But first, we got a lot to talk about. Let's talk about the past for a minute. And it's a glorious recent past. On Friday night, Scott County went up to just north of Cincinnati in Lockland, Ohio, to take on Archbishop Moeller. All these parochial schools from Louisville, Cincinnati, you name it, have been a thorn in the side of Scott County pretty much during the entire Coach Jim McKee era. He'd be the first one to tell you, but big night for the Cards, a 10-7 win. So many storylines to talk about. A couple that stand out of my mind that will stand out years from now, I guess, when we talk about this game is one, the rain. It was delayed at the start by lightning and then pouring rain through the first quarter. Kind of a feeling out process, but I thought even then Scott County drove the football at will, kind of controlled the first half of the game, held on at the end of the first half to lead 3-0 going into halftime. Now, when was the last time you saw a 3-0 score in a Scott County football game, if ever? Probably not. The other thing that stood out to me about this game is when Moeller came back to take the lead 7-3 with a touchdown drive in the midway through late third quarter. Scott County answered almost immediately and put together the gut check series. They may define their season. A couple of fourth down conversions, and they were able to punch it in with Austin Barnett scoring with about 8 minutes to go to take a 10-7 lead. And then it was up to the defense for a little while, and then the offense to grind out a few more first downs, which they did to take the watershed victory and bring it back to from Cincinnati to Georgetown. A triumphant night for Scott County, and that was a win that means a lot to a lot of teams that obviously had tried that trick in the past to try to beat one of those teams and had come so close. You know, last year's game with Moeller was close. Last year's game with LaSalle was pretty close and pretty decent, and interestingly enough, we'll segue into that because that's this week's opponent, as LaSalle will make the trip down I-75 to take on Scott County. Now, you were probably expecting to devote your Friday evening to that. Well, we're here to tell you that game has now been moved to Thursday night at 7 p.m., not 7:30, 7 p.m., because it's a school night, I guess. Long story as to how and why it happened, but essentially Georgetown College is playing its game on Friday night this week instead of Saturday afternoon because of the hurricane in North Carolina. The opponent that's coming in for that game needs to get here sooner and play that game sooner. And so here we are playing the Scott County LaSalle game on Thursday night. Some keys to watch in that game. LaSalle was a very physical, run-oriented team last year. They were quick and strong defensively. Scott County only scored one offensive touchdown, and it was on the first drive of that game. So I think it's important for the Cardinals to sustain some things the way they did against Moeller the other night. And even if they don't score points, to kind of set that tone early in that game. And being at home, of course, gives them a different look as well. It was a challenging environment up at LaSalle last year, and they'll look forward to hopefully serving up some home cooking, will the Cards, on the Toyota Stadium turf on Thursday night. Coach McKee is happy as anyone after that game. Couldn't get enough hugs and backslaps from the people that were brave in the weather and made the trip and got wet and stayed through the whole thing. He earned that win, and the Cards earned that win too. The post-game huddle was something you had to see, and fortunately we were there and captured it. We're going to show you that clip momentarily, and then we're going to get to some more current clips from Coach McKee this week discussing both the Moeller win and the LaSalle game this week. First, let's see the post-game huddle and then see what Coach McKee had to say about the upcoming game.
And we came up here and it was 10-7. And I'm going to tell you what, we're going to go home and we sent a message to everybody. Yes, sir. We just sent a message to everybody. There's no debate about who's number one, Jack. Hey, here's my plan. I'm going to eat me some La Rosa's pizza.
Moeller was a special win in Scott County history, and the celebration hasn't stopped.
No, not really. I mean, I really enjoyed it, and I still enjoy it, and I'm going to enjoy it for the rest of my life. And, you know, I think what partially, and I think this is probably wrong of me, but coaches and other people, you with the newspaper article, you write a newspaper article and it's yours. You own it, you're proud of it, and when people fire shots at it, even if it's warranted, still puts you a little bit on the defensive. It's kind of like it's your child. And, it's wrong for me to want to win games like that to prove other people wrong. But at the same time, a lot of people over the years have told us, have had their opinions on what we could and couldn't do. And so, it really has motivated me personally to absolutely work as hard as I can and be proud of what we've done.
Scott County took a conservative approach and made few mistakes Friday night.
And really, there were 3 huge plays in the game offensively. You'd have to go back and ask Monty, about what plays he thinks were the biggest defensively, because even though I've watched all the defense, I haven't analyzed every down and distance. But, from an offensive standpoint, when they made it 7-3, we missed a hitch to Glenn on 2nd down. We had a 3rd and 7, and we got it on belly sweep to Peyton. That was huge. And then on that same drive, we had another 4th and 2, or our first 4th down, about a 4th and 2 or 3, and we ran Peyton on a sweep to our sideline, which was actually the same play that we'd run earlier in the game on a 4th down and got knocked out of bounds. And then we got down inside the 10 and had a 4th and 2 and brought the motion across and let Cade tuck it behind and keep it. Those were 3 plays that, if we don't make any one of those 3 plays, probably lose the ball game. So I think that was the biggest thing, and I think I told you, is what's happened so often in the past is we would make a mistake or two. It'd be 14-0, 14-7, 21-7. Then the game settles down, and after the game, everybody says, "Oh man, we were right there with them." Well, no, we really weren't. They really controlled the game from start to finish. And I told the guys, and I mean it, I told them after we got home and on Sunday when we looked at them, I said, we should have beat them about 28-7. We should have beaten them worse. And so we've got another great challenge this week.
McKee looks forward to Thursday night being the only game in town.
Here's the thing. You play cards. People, you got all these poker guys have all these different strategies. My strategy was just like when I looked at my cards, if I had a bunch of the same color or a bunch of the same card, I was fired up. If I didn't, then I just folded. And basically, in this situation, Georgetown College has, they got 4 of a kind, and we've got 2 pair. And so we're going to have to do whatever they say that we're going to do. And so I was able to find out they had sent an email out to all the players that Clay got and said that their game would be Friday and our game was moved to Saturday night at 7. And I don't know who they talked to from our school system. Nobody ever talked to me. I still have never to talk to anybody from Georgetown College, but I'm not mad about it. I understand it. They got 4 of a kind, we got 2 pair. And so I'm going to play the 2 pair to the best of our ability. I really think it'll help the crowd. I think it'll be the most because here's the thing. Somebody was going to the Dunbar game or the Tates Creek game or the Boyle County game or wherever. Now all of a sudden those people can come, and I'm going to be surprised if they don't. I think we're going to have a lot of just neutral football fans from Central Kentucky come to the game.
Expect the Cards to continue playing out-of-state teams even after next year's move to Class 5A.
We have a tough schedule next year. We're 5A. Every one of our non-district games, our 5 non-district games right now, are all against 6A teams. But we'd like to have and I don't really want to play Trinity or St. X, just because, we've played them a bunch. It's in the state. It's so neat to give the kids, even though we lost at Elder in 2015, I'm telling you, man, they're going to drive through Cincinnati when they're 36 and be like, now listen, son, I played at the Pit. You ever heard of the Pit? They might I bet you a kid that played at the Pit will detour and go to the Pit. And so, we want to go to Nashville or Indianapolis, someplace like that, and play somebody. So they're great experiences. I wouldn't have done it 15 or 20 years ago. Now, what's the worst thing can happen Friday? People say, well, you're going to get somebody hurt. We lost Jordan Kendrick against Dunbar. We lost Scotty Daniel against Dunbar. In 2 years, we went to state championship game late in the year in blowout games to freak injuries. So, we're just going to go out and have fun, have a huge crowd, and go get it.
LaSalle will present a more diverse offense than Moeller, but they are no less talented.
Moeller's, more of a, it's just like what I said, when you think about like old school Big Ten football, that was more what Moeller is. LaSalle's going to be spread and run some RPO stuff, run some revert upside down option stuff where you're running the jet motion across and reading the defensive end. Defensively, they're not going to be near as big as Moeller, but they're going to be faster. Very similar football teams in the standpoint that they're very well coached. The kids play very hard. They got a ton of pride. And, us beating Moeller, they all looked at that score on Saturday morning or Friday night, and, they're not going to come down here with anything less than, a focused, really good effort.
All right, that was Coach McKee celebrating, but not for long, because there's a big challenge this week against the LaSalle Lancers coming to town. That'll be a fun one on Thursday night at 7 p.m. I also talked to the players. I know obviously the win at Moeller meant a lot to them. They've been through some battles with Elder and LaSalle and Moeller and St. X and teams of that nature. Good to finally break through that ceiling and get that win. We talked to a couple of those players about how they feel about that and what they're looking forward to this Thursday night. The Cards have taken the time to enjoy last week's emotional win.
Yeah, it sticks around a little bit. Coach McKee on Sunday walked in and he said, look, you got to enjoy the game for the rest of this day, and then we go to bed. You got to wake up, and it's LaSalle week. That's all it is. And so, that's what we've been saying all weekend. We break out the huddle and we say beat LaSalle. So, we're trying to get the Moeller game out of our heads. Yeah, sure, it was fun, but we got to move on next week.
It was the best thing I could ever wish for. I played my heart out, and I was just so tired and stuff, and it would really suck to walk out of there with a loss, and just felt great.
LaSalle was relentless in a 28-14 victory last year.
Defensively for the offense is they're fast. They're fast, physical, and we got to stick on our blocks as long as possible. I was talking to Hudson. He said, based off last year, he said, yeah, they're really not that big, but they won't let go. Like, you start blocking them, and they're not going to stop trying to rip off you and get to the ball.
Moving the game to Thursday night shouldn't pose a problem for Scott County.
It's nothing really. We come in Thursday, and you just got to realize it's game day, and it's got to be all business after school.
Everyone is looking forward to a huge crowd at Toyota Stadium.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. It's going to be so packed, just from what everyone's saying, and I'm excited for it. Everyone's excited for it. It's going to be huge. I know a bunch of old friends are going to be there, and it's going to be exciting.
It's felt like forever, but yes, I'm very excited. Like Kate said, there's going to be a huge crowd, and I'm ready to see who all comes, and my family be there too. So.
The 4-0 start has the players excited about rolling into the upcoming district schedule.
It's everything, especially if we were to go out with the state championship. Oh my gosh. And the emotions were coming when we beat Moeller, so I can't imagine what will happen if we beat LaSalle too.
It's fun. It's fun because everybody wants to beat us in Lexington and everywhere else for our district games, and so it's finally like, you want to beat us? Here we are. See if you can do it, and just gotta see how it goes.